All right, second issue is the village. In many ways, this is tied to the club, but in some ways not. If the Y takes over the club, Becky's proposed dissolving the village. This proposal includes the following. One, it eliminates dues currently paid to the village. So that's one set of the 3 sets of dues village residents would no longer pay. She will fund, she's put this into a proposal, I think it's in some of the postings on the website or certainly in the blast email. She'll fund the construction of gates at the entrances to village subdivisions. The estimated cost of this is between $350,000 and $500,000, and she's offered to pay this. This fully addresses the gated community concept, where each HOA then controls access to its own community. There's 3 or 4 HOAs along Bethwick Avenue, I think, that would come together as one, and then there were gates at the end of the road there. But the access to the club by whomever, including the people that are going now, or whoever goes to the Y, would be along the same pathways now, used basically the same way it is now. But that road should not be maintained as a private road by the village. It should be maintained by all. And to do that, what she will do is have the foundation maintain that road. But she will also fund, take the village street funds. I think there was $500 per house that was put into Village Street when houses were sold in the village. That money would be sent to each of the HOAs based upon how many houses in that HOA had funded this $500. So she doesn't keep the money. The village doesn't keep the money. The money goes into the HOAs, and I guess they can use that for whatever purposes, maintenance of their gates, street lights, whatever. The HOAs will each inside the village manage their own gates, as I mentioned. And finally, the foundation, through its own due structure, will take over the maintenance of the village parkway and other streets that are similar in use to how the parkway is used now. Okay, this proposal, why does it make sense? Makes sense because the village really has never operated solely as a private exclusive area. That was the vision, that was the hope. As I said earlier, the Prattville Club could not be maintained that way, and from the beginning never has been. So beyond that, the roads have also followed along with the use of the Pineville Club, as everyone knows. In recognition of this reality on the ground, the village did amend its covenants 2 years ago to say that pools, say that any mandatory membership in the club is not required. And that was a recognition of the situation that existed with the covenants and the village not being completely, or the club not being a completely captive private club of the village, which it's never been. So there's plenty of reasons to recognize the reality on the ground and say the utility of the village is over. Take the money it's obtained, distribute it properly to all of the HOAs in the village, have the proper streets maintained by the foundation, have the HOAs maintain their own gates that she installs at no cost to the various HOAs. If some say no, don't dissolve the village, ask them why. Or ask them why not dissolve the village. Providing gates and paying for the maintenance of the parkway and other access roads through the foundation, it appropriately spreads that cost to all and removes it from the village residents only. That's appropriate at this point. Dissolution of the village requires a vote of 80% of the member HOAs. These HOAs want to have their own members' residents continue to pay village dues and therefore vote no. That's fine. Becky and Flowers Plantation can continue on with the village as a master HOA, continue to charge dues, can deal with the situation. So this isn't something that she or any of these entities have to have. It's just, again, her recognition that this is the reasonable thing to do at this time. We're waiting to hear reasons why it isn't. So we're glad to engage in any discussion we need to try to understand a contrary position. But that's the position that we think should be done about the village. And again, it somewhat overlaps with the Pineville Club, but not completely.